I'm getting ready to start in a minute. All right. Greetings. May peace and power elevation be to all of you. This your girl Tiffany coming through live in effect. And tonight I'm going to talk about something that's dealing with African history. So tonight's topic is going to be about Para Cape Verde. Again, it's pronounced as Para Cape Verde. So this is an island that's 400 miles away from Senegal, right? So it's outside of West Africa, and it's in the Atlantic Ocean region. All right, so um July the 5th of 1975 was when this country earned its independence from Portugal. So the Portuguese took over that area. So the country is predominantly African descended people with some European, and you got those who are biracial or what they call themselves Creole. Uh, and the the country's language or official language is Portuguese. So they have been colonized by the Portuguese people. So before I go into the history, I want to show you what the island looked like. All right. All right, so that's the picture of excuse me, I keep mispronouncing it. Para Cape Verde. That's the island. Okay. So let's get into the history. All right, so here's the history about Para Cape Verde, which is also known as Cabo. Excuse me. Did I say? Excuse me. Para Cape Verde. I'm sorry. Para Cape Verde, also known as Para Cabo Verde. All right, so this is come from blackpast.org. All right, this is their website. And so I am going to read the first two paragraphs. Para is the capital and largest city of the island nation Cape Verde in archipelago, approximately 400 miles west of Dakar, Senegal. The city has a population of 127,899 people, and it is home of over 90% of the nation's population. Para lies in the southern coast of Santiago Island. The city experiences a mild desert climate due to a short monsoon season and the surrounding Atlantic Ocean moderating the weather. Average rainfall in the area is about 10 inches and occurs mainly during July, August, and September. Para is the seat of government as well as the country's largest port. Main export through the port are coffee, sugarcane, and variety of tropical fruits. All right, the history of Para dates back to 1615 when it was originally founded by Portuguese explorers and named Para de Santana Maria. The city evolved into a port that was oftentimes used for illegal trade, including in years later the slave trade. So yes, it was used for the slave trade as well. In 1770, the capital was transferred to Para from Rabia Grande because Para was growing more rapidly and was considered healthier. Despite its new destination, Portuguese colonial officials complete the first major dock for the port only in 1863. All right, so as you can see, the Portuguese took over Para, the city of Cape Verde, or also known as Cabo Verde. They took over that area, and also they was doing a lot of trading over there, and some of it was illegal, and of course, one of them was slave trade. But let's read the part where it talks about the independence. So Cape Verde gained its freedom from the Portuguese on July 5th, 1975, which that was about 35, wait, no, about 45 years ago. That was 45 years ago. After almost 15 years, wait a minute, after almost 15-year war for independence, which was linked to anti-Portuguese struggle in Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique. Okay, so they went on for 15 years fight for their independence from the Portuguese. Right, and along with that was Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique. All four nations became free in 1975. Upon independence, Para became the official capital of the new nation of Cape Verde. All right. So let's read down here where it says Para has a cosmopolitan culture. People of African ancestry are the majority in the city, mainly because of the centuries-old slave trade and plantation economy of the islands. But there is still a significant European population, including many Portuguese. The African influence predominates in the languages, food, and social patterns. The European influence can be seen in Catholic religion, urban architecture, and clothing. Like other former Portuguese colonies, there is a significant Creole culture as a result of the intermarriage of many Portuguese and African. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. So that is the outline, the history of that. So let's look at how the war came about. So it doesn't go into much detail about how they what caused the war and why they went about earning their independence. So give me a second. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here it is. All right, there we go, right there. Okay, so I'm on Britannica.com, and here it is: a struggle for independence in Cabo Verde. The long-standing joint colonial administration of Cabo Verde and Guinea-Bissau was terminated in 1879 when both became separate Portuguese territories. Amid the contemporary African decolonization movement, their status was modified in 1951 to overseas provenance, and their inhabitants were officially granted full Portuguese citizenship in 1961. Not perceiving these changes as meaningful, however, some members of the colonial population began to agitate for complete independence from Portugal for both Guinea-Bissau and Cabo Verde. One such group, the African Party for the Independence of Guinea, Guinea and Cabo Verde. All right, so we can look into that later. Was founded in Basel in 1956, headed by Amilcar Cabral, a gifted revolutionary leader and uh, Deroshian. Its goal was to achieve independence by using peaceful means of protest. In 1959, however, Portuguese responded with violence and arrest, which convinced the PAIGC that only a path of armed struggle would be sufficient to end the colonial and fascist regime. After a period of military training and political preparation, the PAIGC launched its armed campaign in January 1963 and showed steady military progress thereafter. On January 20th, 1973, Cabral was assassinated, and later that year, on September 24th, Guinea-Bissau declared independence. This event, compounded by the other lengthy wars in Portuguese colonies, participated a crisis in Portugal, and that resulted in a successful coup there on April 25th, 1974. Portugal's new government soon began negotiating with African nationalist movements. So, in order for them to go through the process of earning the independence, they created national movements, right? They created an African party, and eventually they were trying to use the concept of peaceful protesting, but it did not work. So they had to become more militant about it. And we're gonna get into the story about Amilcar Cabral. We're gonna talk a little bit about him because he played his role in that. All right. So check this out where it says full independence. Full independence was achieved in Cabo Verde on July 5th, 1975. Orestes Pereira, the PAIGC Secretary General, and Pedro Paredes, a military commanders, became the first president and prime minister, respectively. A military coup in Guinea-Bissau in 1980, deeply resent in Cabo Verde, broke the political unity between the two countries. The PAIGC subsequently split, with the Cabo Verdean branch thereafter known as the African Party for the Independence of Cabo Verde. Pereira and Perez remained in power in the one-party state until PAICV this was it deciding were permitted to form a second party, the Movement of for Democracy, which was organized from as early as March 1990 and emerged victorious into two-party elections on January 1991. And in the presidential election held the following month, Antonio what's the name, Mascarenas, yeah, Antonio Mascarenas Monterio, backed by the MPD, won a decisive victory. He was re-elected in February 1996 in an election marked by a low turnout and in which he was the only candidate. So, yeah. So again, these people organized, right? In order to get their independence, they had to organize, come up with a movement, and they had to be more strategic and come up with their own military strategy in order to fight off the Portuguese. So the Portuguese, just like other European nations, they had a lot of power. As a matter of fact, they were one of the first to start the whole slave trade. They were one of the first to do it. And then everybody else, then other European nations followed along because they seen that there were resources in the continent, especially in Africa. And so they followed along. They say, hey, we're going to go to where the resources at and where the money is at. So that was the main reason why they wanted to be in control, because they know that there's where they can find all the natural resources. So Africa is considered as the richest continent in the world. So by it being the richest continent in the world, people is going to go in and take over the resources. All right. Um. So let me show you who is what's his name? Amilcar Cabral. All right, Amilcar Cabral. Look up. Let's go. All right, so that is the one of the founders of the movement, and he was also a revolutionary when he fought for independence for Guinea-Bissau. So that's when Cap Verde, excuse me, Cap Verde, also Cabo Verde, um, the country followed after the Guinea-Bissau League, and they seen what the Guinea-Bissau people were doing. So they wanted to be able to establish something so they can fight against those Portuguese. And that's what they did. Yep. So that's him. Let's read a little bit about him. Okay. All right, there we go. All right. So that's Amilcar Lopez Cabral. Um, he was born on September 12, 1924, and Pafata of Portuguese Guinea, which is now Guinea-Bissau, and he died in Conakry, Guinea, on January 20, 1973. He was one of the people that was the founder for the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, and he helped lead the Guinea-Bissau people into independence. He was a African free thinker. I mean, excuse me, he was an African thinker, a leading African thinker. Um, so he was about African liberation, as you can see. Yep. So it says Cabral took his party into an open war for the independence of Portuguese Guinea, and in the late 1960s, Cabral was the de facto ruler of parts of the Portuguese Guinea, now occupied by army units from Portugal. 1972, he established the Guinean People's National Assembly as a step towards independence. And so he was killed by Incencio Canai, a disgruntled PAIGC guerrilla war veteran who was believed to have been working with the Portuguese agents. So yeah, he was killed by an agent. But his contribution helped the countries to be where they are today. All right. So let's show the picture of what the people look like. All right. Let's see. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these what the people look like in Cape Verde, or also Cabo Verde. This is the Cabo Verde people. This is what they look like. Let's find another image. See, there's another image of them. As you can tell, these kids look like they're biracial because they have European descent and African descendant, through the relations of both the Europeans and African people in that country. All right. Ooh, okay. Okay, there's another image right here. All right, there's another image. So you get the idea. So now let's look at the culture. What's the cultural practice? Look at cultural practice. Okay, you know what's my favorite? Let me play this little video right here where this brother talks about the history of the Cape Verdean people. He can explain it a little bit better than I can. It's called Home Team History Channel. So if you guys never checked them out, y'all should.
What up, African?
Now, let me remove that. Let me start. Oh, all right then. Okay. So this is coming from okay. All right, so this is coming from Home Team History Channel, and the brother that's speaking, he's gonna be going through the history process about the Cape Verde people, or Capo Verde people, and the capital Para Cape Verde, and he's gonna explain the details. So I'm gonna put myself on mute, and I'm
African World is Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. And welcome back to my series, A Closer Look. Today, we'll be taking a closer look at Cape Verdeans. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. The Cape Verde Islands are a set of islands that lie 535 miles off the coast of West Africa. The islands are divided into two main groups, referred to by their position with the winds. The official language of Cape Verde is Portuguese, but Creole, a mixture of Portuguese and African dialects, is a national vernacular. Most Cape Verdeans are Catholics, as it's the most widely practiced religion on all the islands. The largest Cape Verdean diasporic communities have gathered mainly in the northeastern United States, as well as in Portugal, Brazil, Senegal, and Holland. Little is known about the original inhabitants of Cape Verde. Scholars have no generally agreed upon date or identity of the first inhabitants of the islands. Some even suggest that the islands were completely uninhabited, but we do not know for sure. Even though the Portuguese settled the island in 1462, creating the foundation of the social and governmental infrastructure, the islands had already been explored by various African ethnic groups from the Guinea coast. Though visited by West African peoples, they never seemed interested in colonizing it. Therefore, Diego Gomez is largely given that credit. The Portuguese used the islands as a refueling station for slave ships, and by 1466, with the establishment of plantations, the need for cheap labor was fulfilled largely by enslaved Africans from Guinea-Bissau. However, the majority of the enslaved Africans came through Cape Verde in transit to the Americas. The islands were first divided between several Portuguese feudal lords who established plantations and supervised the slave labor. The social division of Cape Verdean society based on the Portuguese feudal model was clear from the beginning. White landowners occupied the top of the social pyramid, mulattoes and a few liberated Africans were in between, and enslaved African laborers were at the very bottom. The island of Santiago was used as a slave post, and slave labor was generally used in agricultural cultivation and production of sugarcane, vineyards, maize, guinea rice, and cotton, as well as in the salt mines. Over time, a large Creole population of mixed African and European descended people began to emerge, eventually becoming about 70% of the overall population. The remainder of the population consisted of Africans and about 2% Europeans. Cape Verdeans have maintained a recognizable and distinct culture on the islands and throughout the diaspora, mainly through the cultural markers of music, dance, food, and folklore, which have very clear African and Portuguese roots. The influence of African culture remains most visible on Santiago. There are four main musical genres: morna, coladerias, funana, and butuco. Morna and coladerias have very strong Portuguese influence, while funana and butuco, accompanied by rhymes of drums and a fast tempo, have distinct African origins. Although Morna has very vague origins, it's characterized by melancholy love songs, expressing sentiments of heartache, loneliness, and the hardships inflicted by the natural conditions of the island. The internationalization or globalization of Cape Verdean music, most specifically the morna, has resulted largely from the fame of Cesaria Evora, a very celebrated Cape Verdean singer. In addition to music, Cape Verdeans have also produced folklore and literature, which has been central to the preservation of oral and folkloric traditions. Literature and poetry were used to construct the identity of Cape Verdeans. The first recorded written art emerged around 1866. Many of the early Cape Verdean intellectuals and poets found inspiration in Portuguese nationalism. Poet Eugenio Tavares printed the first piece of creative writing on the island in 1916 in two short volumes of classical love poetry. Written in the traditional Morna style, the work was overtly critical of Portuguese occupation of the island. One of the latest trends in literature is Cape Verdean nationalism and pride in Cape Verde's African ancestry. Toward the end of the 19th century, following the official eradication of slavery and the devastation of severe droughts, large numbers of Cape Verdeans left the islands to work in New England's cranberry and whaling industries. In 1951, in an attempt to quell the rising nationalism, Portugal changed Cape Verde's status from a colony to an overseas province. In 1956, a nationalist movement, the African Party for the Independence of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, formed the basis of the independence movement in both countries. Led by revolutionary political theorist Amilcar Cabral, the movement struggled to overthrow Portuguese colonialism. A priority of the independence mobilization period was to intervene in colonialism's repressive and deliberate erasure of African culture and restore the historic bond between the two colonies of Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau. Cabral stressed the importance of maintaining and reclaiming the native culture, particularly its element of resistance to foreign domination. He firmly believed in the inalienable right of every people to have their own history. Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau are linked through a common culture, language, and history and have very strong historical ties. Amilcar is perhaps the most celebrated historical figure in Cape Verdean history and was certainly one of the most distinguished Cape Verdean anti-colonial leaders. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, please consider supporting the home team on Patreon.
All right, so yeah, that's the brother explain the history of explain the culture or whatnot. So let's real quick, I want to get into the concept about the gender roles and the social welfare and social stratification and all that. Because anytime we talk about countries, a lot of people tend to just want to just gravitate towards the romanticism of the countries, especially in particularly Africa. But we have to go beyond the romanticism and see what the government is really like. What is the social class like in other countries? So I just want to show some real fast. All right, let's get to the program. All right, here we go. Oh boy. All right. Okay. So I'm on everyculture.com. All right. So under where it says social stratification, classes and castes, there is little class distinction in Cape Verde because the vast majority of the population is poor. There is a small growing middle class in the towns and cities and virtually no upper class. Those of higher socioeconomic background tend to identify culturally with Europe. That's no surprise. That's very common. And to think of themselves as more European, often because they have spent time abroad, that is no surprise. Symbols of social stratification. Cape Verdeans take pride in their dress and personal appearance. The most highly valued attire is American brand names popular among African Americans. These clothes are often an indicator of class. However, the poorest Cape Verdeans sometimes have relatives in the United States who send gifts of clothing. All right. So here it is when we go down to social problems and control. What little crime there is in Cape Verde consists mainly of petty theft and robbery. This is more common in the cities, particularly in Para. The code of conduct is implicitly enforced by social pressure. Personal reputation is of paramount importance for this reasons. The court system is overrun with slander cases. Mm, excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. And now we're going to get down with the social welfare and change programs. Social security programs have been introduced but are limited in scope. The government provides some assistance for the poor and the elderly, as well as free health care, but the majority of social welfare is provided by individual families and communities. And then let's go to the part where they talk about gender roles and statuses. Division of labor by gender. Women take care of all domestic tasks, including cooking, cleaning, and child rearing. At the same time, they also make substantial contribution in other sectors of the workforce, including farming, construction, and commerce. Women are often the sole economic supporters of their families. However, they are proportionally underrepresented in the white collar professions and in the political system. The relative status of women and men. While the genders are legally recognized as equal, there are broad de facto disparities in rights and power. Women, mothers in particular, are respected for the immense workload they shoulder, yet they often are expected to defer to men. All right. So as you can see, this is the concept about marriage. Here we go. Legal and church weddings are uncommon in Cape Verde. More often than not, a woman will simply sa de casa, leave her family's house to move in with her boyfriend. This is often occasioned by the woman becoming pregnant. After 4 years of cohabitation, a relationship acquires the status of common law marriage. While polygamy is not legal, it is customary for men, married or not, to be sleeping with several women at once. Mm. All right, domestic unit. Traditionally, several generations of a family live together in the same house. Rearing is communal, and living situations are fluid. Children often stay with aunts, uncle, or other relatives, especially during the school year. So they believe in extended families. That's what they believe in. They believe in extended families. Due to immigration and de facto polygamy, there are a great many households headed by single mothers. Wow, that's not really surprising to me. Does that sound familiar? That's very common in our community, right? Yeah. All right. So let's go down to the part about the etiquette. All right. Cape Verdeans are extremely generous and hospitable people. Even the poorest take pride in presenting guests with a meal. It's considered rude to eat in front of others without sharing, and for this reason, one does not eat in a public setting, such as on the street or on a bus. Cape Verdeans stand close together when talking and are physically demonstrative, often touching and holding hands, men as well as women. Greetings are somewhat lengthy and include shaking hands or kissing for women and inquiring about each other's health and family. This is usually done each time two people meet, even if it is more than once in the same day. So, as you can see, that's the information background about the social stratification and the social interaction, dealing with the sociology of these people. So, some of it is relatable to us, and then some of it might be a little different, but we can relate to some of the things that they are dealing with. So it's not too much of a difference, especially when it comes to work environment and white collar position and single parenting. It's relatable. All right. So what I want to show last but not least is the celebration of the Independence Day in Cape Verde. All right, let's show the independence. Uh, hmm. All right, go ahead and remove that. I'm gonna play like a little 3-minute clip of this video. Let's see. Okay, let's go right here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna play about maybe a good 5 minutes of this video. All right, so let me go ahead and put myself on mute. Okay, there we go.
Para vir governar-nos como Presidente da República de Cabo Verde, camarada Secretário-Geral do PSDC, Richest Praia. Camarada, viva a República de Cabo Verde! Viva o povo heróico e trabalhador de São Vicente! Viva o PSDC!
All right, so that was the first Independence Day celebration in Cape Verde. That was the first Independence Day. That was their celebration there. Let's see if I can. Okay, so they in Boston, I believe they doing the flag raising day. That was back in 2019. So here it goes. And after that, I'm gonna end this video. So after I get done playing this last video here. All right. I'm gonna share the screen. Right here, go right here. Show y'all a little clip. There it go. All right, so I'll put myself on mute.
Okay, Verde became an independent country on July 5th, 1975.
Cabo Verdeans play a central.
Okay, Verde became an independent country on July 5th, 1975.
Cabo Verdeans play a central role in our economy, certainly in our culture and in my administration.
My deepest appreciation to the mayor of the city of Boston to associate our community in this flag raising.
Wherever we're from, because we're all from somewhere, we want to wish the Cabo Verdean community happy Independence Day.
All right, so that concludes the video for tonight. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching. And for those of you that just coming in, please watch the video from the very beginning. If you're watching from Facebook, you can go ahead and share this video. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and share this video as well. So until next time, may peace and power elevation be to all of you. And again, I'm doing the daily Black history. So and also along with other topics. But until then, please take it easy on yourselves and be safe out here during this COVID-19. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.